to people and they're like talking about how white people are racist or like taught to be superior subconsciously, and you know, and you know, and on one side, no, I really not on one side, I really agree with that. But then I also think, like, do you expect white people to go on a Pan-African course now to change narrative?
Yeah, it helps them. That's my thing. It's like,
do you think they should do that?
Yeah, they have to be brainwashed. But what's their benefit in being brainwashed when they are benefit from the system? They have no.
Yeah, they have no.
Aside from having a moral obligation.
And if I was white now, if I was white now, no, but if I was white, because if I was white now, I would think to myself, and even now, you know, because white people also want to be successful, also want to do their thing, also work hard for their stuff. And I know me, myself, how I work hard for my stuff. But if someone would come to me and be like, talking about Indians now, for example, I care about black people. I'm not interested in many other cultures, but black culture, African culture. So if an Indian person comes to me now and talks about, everybody thinks we're inferior and complains to me about people being racist towards Indians, I'll be like, okay, cool.
Well,
Let me focus on my life.
I disagree. I have a basic belief in humanity. I love my people, and my people need our support, which is why I focus on my people. But I feel for the Palestinians every single day. I feel for those Syrian children that were getting bombed on. These people.
I'm sure white people feel for black people getting shot in America.
Arguably, I don't think you have anywhere near enough evidence to suggest that, because the rhetoric behind it is a lot of people who perpetuate the realities of systemic racism, and in 2019 there's no excuse for him being unable to understand how the child getting shot by the police officer doesn't link to the office worker with his microaggression. It's very clear, and there's people like me and Tamir that tell you, yo, what's up? And they're not listening.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that saying I'm feeling for someone is just not enough.
I hear that.
You know? And I feel like sometimes there are also a lot of white people, not a lot, but there are some white people that try to make a change. And I know that every time when I bring that, the black people are, but this and this and this. I'm just saying, feeling for somebody is not enough, and saying, I feel for that, because if we was to, like you just said, and then I just feel like there are white people that even take action, but then people are still saying, oh no, it's not enough, it's not cool enough. What are white people supposed to do? To make a change? What do you expect?
But what is racism? Racism is a system set up that allows other people to be supported in a way that other people aren't, isn't it? So when we talk about, like I said, the point that I made in terms of the Syrian children and everything, like I said, I can't go with my bombers and stop them being bombed. However, maybe I could give a bit of money to Gift Aid, but I'm not perpetuating a system that can let that happen, isn't it? In fact, I believe that in my practice, I'm doing the opposite, to support in support of these people. Whereas, as a white man in that system, you actively benefit from that, and therefore you, I believe, have a responsibility to make sure that you can deprogram yourself to a degree.
Can I say something? I want to put something in the works though, but you know Frances Cress Wilson?
I've heard of him. I don't know.
She's a woman. But basically, like with her, she's a huge respected person in terms of like black psychology, and she had this theory called I can't remember what the name of the theory is, but it's basically based on a book that she wrote called the ISIS Papers, and it basically goes on to say in a nutshell that white people are in fear of black people. They have this subconscious fear of black people because of genetic annihilation. Because what it is that
those are the facts.
Stuff
we don't talk about
on a global level.
That we all know.
Yeah, on a global level, there are white people, Caucasian people, people who don't really have melanin. They are the minority. They're the global minority, and the vast majority of people have melanin. The vast majority of people are black. Let's say that. Okay, so it's just like what I got from her theory. You have to read the book, but what I got from her theory is this: if there was no such thing as racism, if white people didn't oppress us and did what they do, they would face genetic annihilation. Because if there was no such thing as racism, we'll interlink with each other, we'll mate with each other, we'll have babies, and a white person, a black person get together, they have a black baby. Eventually, the whole world will be melanated. There'll be no such thing as a pure Caucasian anymore. So it will. But at the same time, what is happening now, what's been happening for the past hundreds and hundreds of years, is them trying to avoid that because they already know it's going to happen. That's why there's that subconscious fear that it's like we ain't even do nothing to you, and yet you're being hostile. And it's just like that's what they're trying to avoid. So it's just like you say, oh, they should educate themselves on Africa, and they shouldn't be so racist. But let's just say this: think about it yourself. You're a white person. If you do educate yourself, if there's no such thing as racism, if there's no such thing as inequality, that means that I'm not going to be here in the next hundreds and hundreds of years. So will I keep on being not racist? Will I keep on being moral?
But you know what? I don't want you to give them the out at the same time. Yeah, I don't feel like I'm giving them the out, yeah. But I think the point that we need to make here is that, like, it's interesting because like it's almost like a metaphysical battle, isn't it? Like something that is inherent in them as opposed to something that is conscious. And then like obviously now what they've done is with this racist system, with the eugenics that you're talking about, they've made it conscious and that they've acted out this system. But the truth of the matter is that we're a race of people, and if I have a baby with a white lady, not likely to happen, that's still my child. I think that it would be amazing for us to all live in a world where, you know, like regardless of your race and regardless of who you were, like it wouldn't matter, but like your choice of mate or who you decide to have a relationship is a political decision. Most people don't realize how political that decision is. You know, a lot of the people any of the guys that I know that go for white girls, when you like go into it, when you think about it, it has a lot to do with like the area that they lived in, and you know, a lot of the stuff that they might have been through, as opposed to people that kind of were able to free think and then therefore are able to, you know, decide which one. I mean, for me, like mine's a bit different. Like mine is an extremely political choice. Like I, from very early, have said to any white woman that ever kind of approached me, like I'm just not gonna have a white wife. Like I'm just not going to do it. Like it might be like okay to, in fact.
Go ahead, speak your mind.
I don't fraternize. For many years, I don't fraternize, but I have in the past. I ain't gonna lie. But like, I was never going to I would never want to have that as the woman that I would have by my side, simply because who I walk with, who I build my life with, who I have my children with, is a decision that impacts stuff outside of my control. And I feel like if I'm going to control anything, I can control the mate I have, not to control the lady, but control the political kind of message it puts out there. And for me, that's always been have to be a black woman.
What with the mixed woman?
That's fine as well. I mean, I don't think it's much of a problem.
There are two types of mixed people. Three. There are the mixed people, there are the white mixed people, and there are the black mixed people.
I mean, like, for me, I've never really gone for light-skinned women in general. I've always gone for dark-skinned women. So, like, I've never really had too much of that question in my head. But I've always... don't shoot me, man. But obviously, if you had black in you, if you're black, it wouldn't be a problem. Like, my children would be black, wouldn't they? That's what it's about. I want my children to be black. So,
black womanhood and like colorism kind of thing. Do you have the feeling that as a black woman, like I've spoken to black women and they say they just feel like they're like the bottom of like the least attractive by society and stuff like that. Which I don't see that, but do you feel that it's like that?
Most definitely. For you know. My whole life, you know, living in, I was born and raised in London and coming to school, and it's just like, yeah, that's just really and truly, you know, there's a standard of beauty that is plastered everywhere, you know, black women see it, black men see it, and, you know, for the most part, it really kind of orientates a lot of young black boys to see, you know, whiteness as beauty. So when they see their counterparts, their women counterparts, or the young girls, let me say female counterparts, then it's just like that's not seen as attractive because their mind has already been programmed so that like, okay, I'll find this attractive kind of thing, so they won't find. And plus, we've been taught
the
from
princesses, Disney films,
and we've been taught from a self-hate perspective. Like we've been taught to hate ourselves to a certain extent. I mean, it's a bit of a strong statement, but if you dissect it, I mean, I could defend that statement, and it's just like, because of that, it's like when you see yourself, when you see another person that looks like you don't trust that person, you don't find that person attractive because it's all a cycle, you know. So yeah, I have dealt with that. I've dealt with being bullied and being called a man and being called gay and being called ugly and being called all types of various names, and it's a shame. It's a shame. I mean, because a lot of that has come from black men and black boys as well. I mean, that doesn't change the fact that I love black men and eventually I'm going to be with a black man, but at the same time, that's where that's come from. And I don't think it's just me. I'm mentoring a few young girls myself now, and it's just like, they go through the same thing, and it's so incredible, you know. I have to like encourage them to just tell them, you have to stay positive, you know. You're getting all of these negative messages, but you have to know you're beautiful. You have to know you have to be yourself. And this is a systematic problem that a lot of dark-skinned women specifically, of course, black is black. To this day, of course.
Right now, it's like the best thing to be like.
No, because we're older now, so we're kind of coming into our own. But the same system that we go through in school, the same kind of images that is being told to us, primary school kids are still seeing that. I mean, at the end of the day, we're still getting kicked out of school because of braids or locks and stuff like that. So that discrimination is still there, and colorism is still a very, very huge thing, you know, the lighties and this and this and this. It's like, for me, black is black is black. But at the same time, colorism is still a huge thing that isn't talked about enough. You know, it isn't talked about by both sides, and I feel like it's something that we really do need to focus on, because there's a lot of discrimination, there's a lot of pain that is coming out of it.
How's it, as a black man, like, with that? Have you been brainwashed into that white women are?
First, on camera, I want to say I apologize for any black man. Obviously, I can't say, and I'm not saying it just for the words. You know, I think it's disgraceful sometimes what we do. And what we have done in the past to the women, and you know, I'm not here to just say, oh, you're a queen girl, and so do you know what I mean? Like, honestly, it's bullshit, and like I say, you are beautiful, and I think it's a shame that we've done that as a culture. I think that's why we had Love Me Black, our Women's Appreciation Day, as part of Black People Giving, because we definitely identified that as something that is, you know, has made up some of our conscious. But I think you're exactly right, because I was like a 16-year-old who made that political decision. You know, like I obviously I'm 26 now, so my decisions now are so different to where I was 10 years ago. But I actually remember being 16 and saying, I like dark-skinned girls, I'm going for dark-skinned girls. And I remember having that kind of like backlash and always like having to deal with it, and like it was alright because I kind of got all the buff ones. Like I was alright. Do you know what I mean? I was cool. Like I remember 100% when I was going through like my earlier lessons when I was first in uni. Like I said, I was on it. So I was living, but at the same time, like I think she's exactly right. I think it's a very important point though that we need to make, because like you see like the difference, like the light skin dark skin thing that kind of happened, that just happened in this room right now. It's like, you know. Like before it was like the light skinned women were popping, and I like Linda because I'm so in this frame of reference of this like black community. You see, everyone trying to give love to the black women, but at the same time, you as a black woman will see that and see where that you're the victim at the same time. And I think we as a community, especially the women, we need to make an effort to come together. We need to make an effort to step outside of the divisions, because I don't want a light-skinned woman to feel like she's any less black. Because the truth is, racism is a white person's construct that has been put in front of us. So for us now to perpetuate it by splitting ourselves up and dividing ourselves, it's disgrace. I remember like, this is a girl I was seeing like maybe like 2 years ago, and she's light-skinned, and both her parents are black, but she's light-skinned, and she was talking to me about it, and obviously I talk politics all the time, so she's talking to me, and she's like how she feels like she can't say certain things, like she can't come out, and she can't, do you know what I mean, because she's not dark enough. And that's bullshit. That's just straight up bullshit. The truth is that if we are going to create this new reality of black excellence, then we need to live in a new reality that doesn't kind of have these traumas and things as part of the new world. You know, we did Love Me Black, and I honestly wanted to do the event only once. When I originally did the event, I said, let's do it once, because I want us to start anew. I want us to atone for the misgivings of our ancestors, and I want us to live in a new reality. However, I think the whole idea that I could solve, you know, all the tensions between the black man and the black woman and black consciousness in one Love Me Black event, it was a bit nonsense. And kind of, yeah. But you know what? If anyone has seen the footage of the event, anybody that came to the event would have seen how much kind of actual healing would have kind of happened on the day, how the women were touched, and how we used it as an opportunity to really express that message of, you know, atonement, of, you know, an apology, because the black man has been so culpable in it. The black man has been so willing to run away from his black woman and not exalt her the way that she deserved to be. How many of us really grew up in single parent families? Like, how many of us actually know that reality where black women had to be, you know, strong and alone? And whether she was dark, whether she was light, that is something that's so common in our community. And I put the blame on the black man to a large degree, because we haven't built our community.